Voyager has sent back terrifying new data to Earth. NASA's Voyager One spacecraft is still sailing through uncharted reaches of the universe, nearly 5 decades after its launch. It has traveled far beyond our solar system, and continues to do so, to study the outer heliosphere and interstellar medium. When I say far, how far away from Earth is Voyager One? This spacecraft is more than 14 billion kilometers beyond Earth. This legendary space probe just transmitted alarming data back to Earth, leaving scientists baffled due to a probable system malfunction. In today's episode, we'll look at the bizarre data that the Voyager 1 spacecraft has been transmitting back to Earth during its long journey into space. People's minds have been filled with questions regarding what revolves in the universe's outer space since the Big Bang. NASA has been in existence for more than 60 years. During that time, it has launched a vast number of spacecraft into the furthest reaches of the cosmos. These spacecraft, including the Columbia Space Shuttle, Sputnik 1, Hubble Space Telescope, Galileo, and others, have consistently contributed to a better understanding of the universe. The 1977 launched NASA Voyager 1 spacecraft continued after entering what is known as interstellar space in 2012, and it is now traveling more than 14 billion kilometers beyond Earth. Within 15 days of each other, in the same year, Voyager 2 was launched, which is identical to Voyager 1. These Voyagers have been in space for 45 years, transmitting data back to Earth every day from the solar system's most faraway worlds. No other spacecraft in history has traveled as far or lasted as long as these. They have entered interstellar space, according to our correct knowledge of the boundary between the Sun's sphere of impact and the rest of the galaxy. For at least a few more decades, they will hold the honor of being the first spacecraft manufactured by humans. Given that the Voyager missions were only supposed to last 4 years, this is an extraordinary achievement. The first close-up images of Jupiter's and Saturn's moons were captured by the Voyager spacecraft during their early years of exploration. These observations revealed the presence of active volcanoes and fissured ice regions on worlds that scientists had imagined would be similar to our own moon's inert and crater-pocked properties. Voyager 1's mission was to examine the regions of space outside the solar system, as well as the Sun's heliosphere. Voyager 1 was the first probe to take detailed images of the moons of the 2 gas giant planets, and it studied their weather, electromagnetic fields, and rings. Voyager 1 became the first spacecraft to cross the heliopause and penetrate interstellar space on August 25, 2012. The probe's third tsunami wave of coronal mass eruptions from the Sun, which began 2 years later and lasted for at least until December 15, 2014, added to the evidence that Voyager 1 is indeed in interstellar space. Voyager 1 is still operational today, which is very incredible. Despite being well over 40 years old, it continues to relay data back to NASA from such a great distance away. Given their current separation from Earth, a one-way radio signal traveling at the speed of light would take approximately 22 hours and slightly more than 18 hours to catch up with the Voyager 1 and 2. Day after day, they gain 3 to 4 additional light seconds. The Voyager's only connection to Earth is through NASA's Deep Space Network, a global network of 3 tracking sites that allows for continuous interaction with spacecraft, regardless of the Earth's rotation. The signals from the Voyagers are decreasing as they move further away from us in both time and space. It's a well-oiled system in which NASA can issue commands from Earth, and Voyager 1 can transmit satellite data to the study team. However, one of the most recent communications from Voyager 1 was so unusual that it sparks curiosity in the minds of the scientists. According to a NASA announcement issued on May 18th, Voyager 1 has a new mystery. Traveling through outer space for 45 years must have taken its toll on a spacecraft. The probe is functioning properly and sends back scientific data as usual. However, not all of the data is consistent. According to NASA, readouts from the probe's Altitude Articulation and Control System, AACS, do not even match what's going on board. The mission's scientists just discovered that Voyager 1 did not enter safe mode or otherwise trigger an alarm, but instead seemed uncertain about its position in space. According to Suzanne Dodd, project manager for Voyager 1 and its twin Voyager 2 at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, a mystery like this is fairly expected for the route at this stage of the Voyager mission. The Voyagers are roughly 45 years old, which is far longer than the 4-year mission that the scientists initially planned. Furthermore, we are in interstellar space, which is a very radioactive environment that no spacecraft has ever investigated. The issue is with Voyager One's Altitude Articulation and Control System, or AACS, which keeps the probe and its antennas in perfect alignment. The spacecraft is still receiving commands, following them, and returning science data to the Earth at the same transmission power as before, implying that the AACS is still operational. The AACS, on the other hand, is relaying meaningless telemetry data to the spacecraft's operators. The data Voyager 1 is sending to NASA appears to be randomly generated, with no indication of the AACS's current state. Voyager 1 appears to be operating correctly, but its AACS indicates differently for inexplicable reasons. NASA can confirm this because Voyager 1's safe mode has not been activated, but it still does not explain why the AACS is producing such strange data. The NASA statement does not specify when or how long the problem has existed. According to the agency, Voyager crew members will continue to look at the problem and try to solve it or adjust to it. This is a grueling, slow process, since it takes nearly 21 hours for a signal from Earth to reach Voyager 1, and the same amount of time to receive a response from the aircraft. NASA reports that the twin Voyager probes are operating normally. There have been problems with Voyager 1's mission in the past. In 2017, the spaceship's primary engines began to lose efficiency. In December 2017, NASA officially launched all 4 of Voyager 1's Trajectory Correction Maneuver (TCM) thrusters for the first time since 1980. Instead of a worn-out set of jets, the probe's antennas will be kept pointed toward the Earth by the TCM thrusters. Because of these TCM thrusters, Voyager 1 can continue sending data to NASA for another 2 to 3 years. Given the limited amount of electrical power available, the Voyager crew was forced to choose which components to keep on and which to turn off. Radiators and other spacecraft systems have been shut off individually as part of power management. It has been concluded that the fields and particle components that are most likely to communicate critical information about the heliosphere and interstellar space should be prioritized. Engineers expect that the Voyagers will keep running at least one of its instruments till about 2025. What is the significance of all this? NASA is currently unsure. The next approach is to continue monitoring Voyager 1's telemetry to see if we could figure out what caused the strange signals. It might be the AACS directly sending incorrect information, another system on Voyager 1, or something altogether else. At this early point, NASA does not know. According to Dodd, it is a huge task for the engineering team. However, she trusts that the team will discover a solution to the AACS challenge if one exists. According to NASA, the team cannot predict if this will affect the spacecraft's ability to receive and transmit science data until the nature of the problem is better understood. Nobody knows, but given that the probe has been running since the late 1970s, we believe a modest setback is now in order. If they are unable to pinpoint the source of the problem, they may simply have to come to terms and live with the problems. It could also be a pointer to Voyager 1's imminent end, since most of its components are no longer functioning. And that brings us to the end of this video. Let us know in the comments section if you think this is a predicting sign of Voyager 1's imminent end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to get notified when we post a new video.